Hey, good morning. I'm actually going to try to talk louder. I have previewed my tutorials that I've done so far, and it seems like no matter, I just can't seem to get the voice to come through loud enough. You really have to struggle sometimes to try to see or hear what's being said. Where in Second Life, my voice comes out just fine. So I'm actually going to talk a bit louder this time and see if that helps. Hopefully I don't disturb my roommates or get the dogs to barking or whatever. So hopefully this will help. My last tutorial I did, we talked about normals. So with the previous tutorials that I've already done, since Blender is really relatively easy to use, and with practice, you should be able to get in there and start manipulating your geometry, adding and extruding and etc., and go ahead and start building stuff. Well, I have a lady friend of mine in Second Life who wants to do jewelry. Well, how would you just do that? Well, very simple. You can use background images and insert them in and draw off them. In this particular case, I have a background image of a plane that I had thought about making in Second Life, and I just stopped building planes because too much freaking drama in there over that stuff, and it just wasn't worth the headache. But you can find all your anything that you want, whether it's jewelry, blueprints, pictures, images, etc. You can find it online. Now, one of the things I want to point out, and I'm doing this particular one for a particular reason. Some of those images that you download, read what the permissions are. Make sure that you're not going to get into any kind of legal trouble. Like this particular one, this drawing is by Mark Rolfe. So when I downloaded it, if it said on there, it's free to use as long as you give the original creator the proper credits. So if I did this, and which is what I was going to build one of these, I would have had to make sure to include his name as the original creator of the diagram. Another thing you can do is when you're coming in, this is just showing every single view possible that you could have of this particular one. You can take it into GIMP and cut it up. Let me just go back up for a second here. Go to references, and you can cut it up into views that you need. So like here's what I did. After I took this image and then cut it up and made just a right, top, and front profile. And so that everything is scaled appropriately. I didn't need all the rest of those views. And then I could bring it into into Blender, and I could set up my reference points on the planes, which we will get into in a minute, accordingly, so that when I draw out my geometry, I have something as a reference point in which to do it. So let me close that, and we'll get back to where I was at. And we're going to scroll down here real quick. Right here. So in this particular image, I don't have any jewelry to show you, but in this particular image, we're just going to do this little sign. Now realize it works the same way. Okay, so we're going to work with this sign here. So while I have my default cube up there, I'm going to hit the N key. N as in Nancy. And we're going to scroll down, and I'm going to turn on backface culling. I mentioned that in the last one. Then we're going to come down background images and hit that drop down arrow. We're going to hit add image. And this is where you can set all those different views. You can either have it in all views, camera, top, bottom, back, front, right, and left. Okay. But we're going to hit open first, and then I'm going to go here, here, pictures. Let me click here so I can get a better view real quick. We're going to scroll on down. You could probably just type it in there and make it a lot faster, but I want to scroll down. Where is that at? Right here. I'm going to grab this image and I want to click open. Now you'll notice right away, as soon as you do that, you don't see anything. You're not seeing it. Well, that's because we're in user mode and we're not in a particular view. If I was to hit the number 1 key on the keypad, there it is. If I hit the 3 for the right, and you'll see up here at the top, right, there it is, 7 for the top, front, control 3 for the left, control 1 for the back, control 7 for the bottom. And now in this particular case, we actually have it set in all views. But let's say I just want it strictly from the top. Now you'll notice they all disappeared. No matter which way I try to look at it, it's not showing up. But now if I hit the top, there it is. You can actually add in more images as you scroll down. You can add in a second image and a third image, and you can assign those to whichever one of these you want, so that no matter how you're looking at it, you have that reference point by adding in more. And it's real simple. Just click add image, scroll down, you'll see right here. Instead of having to reopen it, I can click right here, and there it is, airport sign. And I'll change this. Let's say we'll put this to the we'll put this to the right. So if I hit the number 3 button, boom, there it is. And you'll notice that I'm actually looking at it from the right, because 1, it'll tell you up here, and 2, you can look at your geometry, your XYZ coordinates down here, and see that it's changed. So if I hit 7, you see it's rotated, and it tells up here. I don't need it right now, so I'm just going ahead and delete that. All I need is this top one. Okay, now at this point, I'm going to go ahead and delete this cube. And it's always better to bring in your reference image while you have that default on there. Okay, I'm going to hit Shift A, Mesh, and I'm just going to add a plane. A plane is just a 2-dimensional mesh prim with one normal on there. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to scale it so it reaches all 4 of these corners, and yeah, just bear with me. So I want to hit scale, but since I don't need the Z, if I just hit scale by itself, well, that's right, with a plane it doesn't do it, but with a prim, cube or anything else it will. I would hit scale, and just by default, just out of habit, I hit Shift Z so that it constrains it strictly to the X and Y and not the Z. And I can scale it just by moving my mouse and left clicking. Now, what happened? How can I work with that? Because that's directly on top of my image and I can't see it. No problem. We can work with that. First, down here you have back and front. Right now back is highlighted and mine is blue, and it depends on your preference settings if you change the color or not, whatever you set it to. I can click front. Whoop, there it is. Okay, another thing you can do is under opacity. You notice that it's 0.5. I can scale that up to 100, which means really, really strong, and I'm not going to be able to see the prim that's underneath it. I can scale it all the way down to 0, where all I see is the prim and no texture. You can scale that however you need to in order to be able to see your references while working with your geometry. Okay, now I'm going to hit the Tab key. We're going to go into edit mode. At this point, since I don't need this anymore, I'm just going to hit the N key to detoggle that. Again, you can hit the T key to get rid of this one to open up your screen more if you want to. Okay, so now what do? I can't, obviously not going to build the actual thing here with this flat prim up there. I just did that just to show you something, and in fact I could even delete that, but since it's here, I'm going to go ahead and let it stay. I'm going to add in a second piece of geometry. Okay, and in this case I'm going to use a cylinder. If I hit the T key again, remember over here you have to change whatever you're doing, you need to do it right now. So if you wanted to change the number of vertices, the radius, the depth, or the caps, you need to do it now before you do anything else with it, because once you rotate it, scale it, or do anything, this option will go away and you will never be able to get back to this again. So since I'm not going to change anything, I just want to remind you of that. I'm going to move my mouse out the way, go ahead and close that. Now I want to rotate it so that it goes along the Y coordinates. Again, Y is the green one, X is the red, and blue would be the Z or Z. So what am I going to do? I'm going to rotate. I'm going to constrain it to the X so that it rotates this way, okay? And then on my keypad, I'm just simply going to type in 90, enter. Now you'll notice that it's rotated it 90 degrees along along the y-axis, which is how I wanted it. Now I'm going to scale, but this time I'm not going to put any constraints to it because I want both all the x, y, and z to be scaled accordingly. Now you can grab the manipulator and move it, or you can hit G and constrain it to the Y in this case, and we'll slide it up to about here. Okay, this is going to be my basic outline. Like I said, I can get rid of this plane that I have there, but I did that for a reason, so just kind of overlook that for this particular build. Okay, I'm going to hit A to deselect, select all, deselect. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the Z or Z, and we're going to go to Wireframe. Now the reason I'm doing that is because I want to be able to grab all these vertices right down here on this one side, and if I don't do that, say I could even go up into the and try to grab it, say solid, and I want to grab all these here. Well, you're not going to be able to really grab them without rotating around, so I'm going to go to Z, and then I'm going to kind of rotate around a little bit, pan it here, rotate. I'm going to hit the B as in box or border select, and I want to grab these vertices right here. I'm going to hit 7 to go back to the top. So now I know I have got all of those highlighted. I've got all of them grabbed. I didn't miss any of them. Once I've done that, I can actually switch back and go back to solid by hitting the Z key again. Now what I'm going to do is we're going to extrude. So I'm going to hit E for extrude, and I want it to go along the Y axis. I don't want it going along the X or anywhere else. I want it to go along the Y. Since I already hit it, it should be right there. Okay, what's going on? I swear this program, everything is going wrong today. Okay, let's undo that. Let's undo that. Okay, let's try this again. If I grab, okay, yep, so we got it right. I'm going to hit E, and I want to go along the y-axis, so I'm going to extrude that out to here. I'm going to hit E again. Since I already hit Y by default, it's automatically remembering that I'm wanting to scroll off of or constrain it to the Y. I'm going to go to here, move my mouse, hit E again, and I'm going to extrude that down to here, and E one more time, and extrude that down to the base there. So that now basically I have my basic, in this case, fuselage geometry. And I'm using this as a reference point. Now let's say I want to start on the wings. Okay, so I come up here and I kind of take a look. Okay, I'm going to switch over to face select, and I'm going to want to grab, let's grab this one. You know what, I think we'll go ahead and grab all three of these. I'm going to zoom in with my mouse wheel. I'm going to grab this one. I'm going to scroll down a bit. I'm going to grab this one. And because I didn't have the Z on, I'm going to have to do it manually. So grab here, here, and we're going to grab the one underneath it as well. Now remember, you can hide the manipulator and get it out the way. Nope, that's not it. I'm sorry. Control space bar. You can click here and get it out your way. Sometimes it gets in the way. It's not going to affect whether or not you can still use it because it's still there. So say for example right now I want to extrude, and I want to, looking down here on my lower left corner, I want to extrude it to the X. Oh, that's right, hold on. I'm sorry, today is not my day. Okay, let's put, you can still do it without, so extrude, and I want to come along the X. I'm going to bring it out to here. Now I want to grab with the G, and this time I want to pull it down along the y-axis. So I'm going to kind of just center it about like so, and then I want to scale but not on the Z, and we'll bring those kind of in, just kind of work it. Let's grab it, pull it down a little further, let's scale, shift Z, and we'll pull it back out. Now this really works good with mirror modifiers, which I'll get into that in a different tutorial. Now at this point I want to scale on the Z. So I want to kind of push push this down. See, shift is X. I don't want it to go along the X. I want to scale along the Z. That's right. I want to scale along the Z. Kind of bring it almost to a point. Okay. Then you'd want to do the same thing for the other side. Since we're not using a mirror modifier, I'm going to go here, hold down the shift key, grab this one, come over and hit this one, go back to my top, scroll back out, extrude, and we'll take it right straight out this way. We're going to grab and pull it down along the Y, kind of center it. We're going to scale shift Z so we don't scale in the Z axis, and just kind of line it up there. Then we're going to grab over here, we're going to scale on the Z, whoops, I hit the wrong key, scale on the Z, and we're going to kind of bring it in, and just kind of bring it and taper it on down, kind of like so. And we go back to our front. And you just kind of rinse and repeat as you go along. I'm going to pan over, I'm going to do the same thing here. I want to grab this one, that one, and the one underneath it, go back to my top view. I'm going to hit extrude, and since I extruded last on the Z axis, in this particular case it remembers it. I'm going to bring it out to here. I'm going to grab, and I want to constrain that to the Y by hitting the Y key. And now we want to scale shift Z because we don't want it to scale on the Z yet. And now we can rotate around, and now we can scale strictly on the Z by hitting the Z key and kind of taper that off. Then we're going to do the same thing on this side. We'll grab this one, hold down the shift, grab this one, and grab those three, go back to the top view, extrude, because it still remembers which last one that I did it on. So we'll grab it there. We're going to grab, and again I need to put this one on the Y. For some reason it doesn't seem to remember that, but that's fine. And you can see I'm a little off, but this is just an example. Okay, I want to scale shift Z, so we kind of get it like that, and then I want to turn around, and now I'm going to scale strictly on the Z to kind of bring it down. So there's your basic profile of your sign, and we still have to come up here to the top. So when we hit A, select all, deselect all, hit the Z key, come into wireframe, box select, and I'm just going to grab these top vertices. Let's go back to solid by hitting the Z key, and we're going to kind of go on around. Let's say I want to extrude to that point right there, and then I want to scale on all sides, so I'm going to kind of just bring it down kind of like so, and there's our front. And then we'll get into other things where you can actually convert this into a sphere. You can work with the faces to make it whatever you want, but just for this particular example, we now have your basic shape, so that when you look at it, there it is. And again, I can come back and I can come up here, I can click the plane. I want to grab these vertices right here, grab that, grab this one, or I could just hit Alt. I'm going to hit X and delete those vertices, and boom, there's your outline. There's your outline. So, and this, if I really wanted to fine tune it, I'd bring these and I'd bring it down and narrow and taper them and build my nose out more correctly, and etc. If I look at my faces, let me hit the N key. Let's come down. Let's come up here. Let's do face select. Scroll in. Let's just give it a little bit more size on that line so I can see clearly. And we talked about this in the last video, to make sure that all my faces are facing the correct way, including in the back, the front, the sides, the wings, whatever. Making sure everything is looking good, and it is. Everything seems fine. Click here, type in 10 cm, that's my default, 10 centimeters, and then I'll just turn that back off. Everything is fine. And you just basically created your first piece of geometry that you can actually import into Second Life. So it's really that simple, just having a reference point and drawing off of that reference. Okay, until our next tutorial, practice, practice, practice.